Hey everybody, it's Muscle Car Campy, and today we're dialing the Wayback Machine to 1969. We've got a car here, a 1969 Z28. It's an amazing example of what you could do with NOS parts and a lot of talent. You will not believe how far this car has come since it was dragged out of a body shop many years ago. Before we get to that though, don't forget, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're notified every time a new video goes live. You know, there's nothing truly unusual or rare about today's car. Chevrolet made 20,302 Z28s in 1969. Insane, right? But when you think about the iconic Chevy muscle cars over the years, just the most iconic Chevys, you have the Tri-5s from 55 to 57, the 63 split window coupe, the 70 Chevelle, and really the 69 Camaro is that fourth car that is just iconic. And of course, yes, there were Copos, there were big block cars, but the Z28, because of its success in racing, was really a car that everybody either wanted to buy, aspired to, or did buy. The old joke is that Chevrolet made more money selling Z28 badges than it did actually selling Z28 Camaros. The cool thing about the Z28, it was not only just successful in Trans Am competition, which of course it was. 1968, they won 10 out of 13 races. In fact, Mark Donohue won 8 in a row that year. In 1969, Ford introduced the Boss 302 in an attempt to combat the Z28. And the Z28 still won 8 out of 12 races to win the manufacturer's championship. But it was more than just a road racer. This is a car that, in the hands of Dave Strickler, won the Stock Eliminator World Championship. It set the record in D-Stock. They were running in the 11s. These are just phenomenal, phenomenal cars. It's why they're legendary today. Our feature car today belongs to Tom Layton, general manager of Roberts Collision in Clearwater, Florida. This car is nothing like what it was when it was dragged out of another body shop. It was a mess back then. His partner brought it home. He started the restoration. Tom finished it, but when I tell you he finished it, he went far beyond what General Motors could have built on an assembly line back in the 60s. Tom used all NOS parts in the restoration on this car. There is very, very, very little that didn't come out of a GM factory off the Camaro assembly line when this car was made, but it's got a lot of cool original touches too. Check out the rear spoiler. Note how it doesn't go to the end. This car was built in the second week of October 1968. These early spoilers did not go to the edge of the body. Another cool thing inside, the headrests on the car were kind of even with the seat back. Headrest, seat back. On later cars, the headrest was tilted forward for better protection, but this car still has the early seats, so in this case, the headrest lay back a little bit. Funny story about these seats, and I love this part about the best. These seats were not original to this car. This is an original houndstooth car. These seats came out of a Z28 1969 that from the day it was bought was going to be a race car. So they pulled the original factory seats out, put them aside, and they were never used in a car. Fast forward about 1,000 years, Tom is looking for seats because his seats were shot. Guy finds them in Arizona or New Mexico, whatever it was, some dry state. He gets the seats. They're in absolutely perfect condition, no rust, no oxidation on them anywhere. And in fact, before I sat in the car and I was doing a little bit of videography in there, Tom's like, you know, I think your butt might be the first one that ever hit that passenger seat. So I'm honored that my butt prints are on the seats of this car. And you know, Tom, you'll never get them off. The engine compartment and the engine was restored as meticulously as the outside of the car. I mean, he even added the correct smog equipment back on the car when he did it. I mean, you don't even see this. You don't see it at all. However, and we like this however part, when he built the engine, he took a couple of liberties. He put a set of 12.5-to-1 slugs in the engine, raising the compression way up. He also had his engine builder go crazy on the cylinder heads, slightly larger than stock valves, all kinds of porting work. He slipped in, and here's the really unusual part, he slipped in a hydraulic roller cam instead of the solid lifter cam. And that was more because the engine builder said, you know, every solid lifter cam I get anymore wipes out the lobes when you break it in. So they went with a hydraulic cam. I don't think he's missing too much horsepower. This engine dynoed at 510.3 horsepower at 5,600 RPM. That's a lot more than the 355 that they were known to make, and it's surely a lot more than the 290 they were said to have made from the factory. You know what's really cool too? Again, in an interest of performance, the air pump is on there, but it's been modified so it just freewheels, doesn't eat up any horsepower. I mean, we do love the paint, body, and trim markings on the fender well, power disc brakes. I mean, I want to marry this car. It's so magnificent. Muscle Car Campy's learning a lot about Camaros and a lot about NOS parts today. There's a ridge on the bottom, and that's how you can tell if it's an original NOS door handle or reproduction. Reproductions are smooth underneath. I'm going to put my butt in this beautiful houndstooth seat, get in. I mean, amazing, this car. It smells like a new car. I cannot lie to you. This car smells brand new. It's got tilt wheel. It's got the walnut steering wheel, 7,000 RPM tack. It was redlined at 6,000, but realistically, the racers ran them all the way up to 70, 7,100. On here, it's got a premium sticker on the key, so you made sure you put premium or super premium fuel in the car. I mean, everything works. The light under the hood works. The lights inside work. We've got the console mounted gauges, the console, the Hurst shifter. Everything on this car is just spectacular. I love the houndstooth seats. Love the wood interior panels. I mean, this car is just, it's an absolute time capsule. I feel like I am truly back in 1969. You know what's really interesting on this car too? You know, Z28 performance. But being sold in Michigan, look at the size of these bumper guards. You know, you wonder if the car was sold in the city. You know, I remember when those things were pretty much mandatory. If you had a city car, you needed big bumper guards. But it also, being an early car, the only exhaust you could get up until around December, end of December, was the chambered exhaust. It sounds great, absolutely mean. But in some places, it was considered too loud, so they brought back the single muffler. You could still get the chambered exhaust later on, but from what we understand, you had to sign off. We are not responsible if you get a ticket for noise complaints. Being an early car, this car has the correct flat hood on it. One deviation Tom made was that he didn't add the stripes back on. He likes it with the black vinyl top. He just thought the stripes with the black vinyl top was a touch too much. I don't know if I'd have done that, but hey, it's not my car. But it definitely is a flat hood car. You know, every Camaro from a 6-cylinder to a Z28 to an SS396 today has the ZL2 cowl induction hood. Wasn't the case back in the day. You could get the ZL2 hood. This car did not come with it originally. Tom, we're honored to be in your business today, looking at this magnificent piece of bow tie history. You really went crazy with this car, didn't you? I mean, how hard was it to find all the NOS parts?
It was a challenge. It took me probably about 1.5 years of searching daily and looking for every outlet that there possibly was and finding connections to people that really knew what they were doing with these cars. But it took me right about 1.5 years to find everything that was on the list. And there's still a couple little things that I will continue on, and it could take another year or two to find those.
Yeah, I noticed even before when you were showing me the trunk, you had a set of NOS door guard moldings in there that you haven't put on the car. I don't think you want to put them on, but you have them just in case.
I collected a couple things like that for nostalgic purposes. I thought when I would show it, I'd leave the trunk open. I've got NOS door edge guards, like you said, I'm not going to put on. I have the high lift. If you remember back in the day, the cars had so much torque that they were breaking the motor mounts. And General Motors came up with a kit that you put on. It has a cable that runs over from the block over to the frame. I actually have that NOS kit also. And it's just, I'm collecting neat things now. I've got a lot of memorabilia from dealerships, you know, all their all the paperwork that they had. You know, when you went in the dealership and you were interested in buying the car, I purchased anything and everything that I could find. And I thought it'd be just fun to have it all laid out in the trunk for people to see what the experience was when somebody went into a dealership in 1969.
You know, and you showed me before, I took a picture of it, we'll show it right now on the video, a set of non-finned rear drums for this car. The car currently has fin drums on the back, but that's not correct. They're supposed to be non-finned. You found a set of those. They've never been mic'd. Somebody must have, who knows where they came. Again, more NOS stuff.
Absolutely.
It's crazy, but you really are just my hero.
Well, I will tell you, anytime I've ever restored a car, there were a couple questions you had to ask yourself. Were you building a catalog car, which means you go to Camaro Central, or you go to Heartbeat City, or you go to those avenues, and you can buy just about anything for these cars? Or are you building a real car? There's two different mindsets when you set up to do one of these. I set up to build the closest real car that money could buy. And money has never been an object. It was one of those things that you're in this deep. Heck, what's a little more?
What's another $100?
What's another 100 here, another 1,000 here? In the end result, though, it makes for, you know, a very good example of what a Z28 was back in the day.
Tom, the one thing I noticed on this car is that it's way nicer than anything Chevrolet ever built on an assembly line, except for maybe a Motorama car or concept car. The fitment on this car is staggering. Like, how much time did it take you to put this whole car together in a manner in which, as we know, it never looked like this from the factory?
Well, I'll give you a good example that when you're assembling one of these front ends, you could spend a couple hours and put it together. But I chose to try to make everything fit better than factory ever did. I've always been a Porsche enthusiast, and everything is so exacting on those cars. I tried to bring that philosophy to this car. A good example, the gap here where the reveal from the grille to the fender, there's always a gap in here. And realistically, I've got 2 full days of taking this grille off and on and off and on, modifying it to some degree so that I would get a reveal that I liked. And the same thing with the fenders. There's actually a shim that was made in here, a full-length shim that went in here, because when you see so many of these cars, when you shut the hood, the gap goes from about 3/16 to a 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. Well, obviously, it doesn't look good like that. So what I did is we made a full-size shim to go in here to spread the fender out just a little bit so that I would have a nice consistent gap from front to back and right to left.
Wow. Now, you were telling me before you have the correct style T3 headlights on there.
Yes.
But now here's one thing you did change. Tell us about the grille.
The grille is supposed to be silver on this car. I chose black only because there's so much silver on this car that I thought it would set it off a little bit. It's just my personal preference, but the black grille is really only supposed to be on a super sport car. But it is mine, so it was my personal choice.
What do you say? The next owner can paint it silver. He could put the stripes on it.
Absolutely.
But he sure has an amazing piece of equipment to work with.
He's got a car that someone else later in life could do minimal things to and go to show at the highest level, which is Legends. And they could take this car all the way very, very easily. All the hard work of finding the parts and restoring everything to such a high level is already done.
What did you say we start this thing up and see what it sounds like?
Absolutely. came originally with an M21 4-speed, which I had completely restored. It also came with a 410 rear end, which I also had fully restored with all brand new gear set put in and brand new axles. I went to the extent to find NOS center caps for the rally wheels and NOS trim rings. I possess both versions, the early and the late on the trim rings. The early ones had just 4 tabs that held them off, and they were known for flying off. So I chose to leave them in the box because they're very expensive and put the later edition on the car.
All right, everybody, this is Muscle Car Campy saying see you later. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button so you're notified every time a new video goes live. While you're at the channel, don't forget, check out all the many videos that we have up there. We've got some of the most outstanding examples of cars from Detroit's golden era. You won't want to miss any of them.